Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the board's annual lunch. It's a tradition that's been around almost as long as we have, which is a pretty long time. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge that the land we are meeting on, covered by Treaty 13, was and remains home to many Indigenous peoples, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Wendat peoples, and to many diverse and Métis peoples. Their care and stewardship of this land served as a foundation for shared prosperity for many communities, and that legacy anchors us today. Now, the board has been building on a legacy of championing the Toronto business community for a very long time, and so if you have that trivia question at your seat, you'll already know just how long that's been. I won't wait for any answers. Looking around this packed room, it's no mystery why we've been sold out for weeks. It's not only our annual lunch, it's our mayor's lunch. Now, of course, last year, a by-election was underway and we didn't actually have a mayor. This year, we're delighted to welcome Mayor Olivia Chow. For the last 11 months, she's been driving the change she wants to see across the city, and our city has had quite a lot of change. A year ago, our city faced a severe fiscal crisis, one that's affected core services and our cherished livability. Thankfully, given the new deal with the province, the crisis is somewhat alleviated, but Mayor Chow knows there's plenty more to be done. I can see her sitting there nodding. What I've learned over the past year is that the mayor listens. She wants to hear what business has to say. She has a pragmatic desire to work with all parties, with all levels of government, and we've seen that, with our business community to get things done, and there's a lot to do. Our region is undergoing the largest transit expansion in North America. We need to get this region moving again. Our waterfront redevelopment is one of the largest urban revitalization projects in the world. We need a cohesive vision. We've seen game-changing investments in our region's auto sector. We must embrace the innovation needed to drive a long overdue manufacturing resurgence, tens of thousands of high-value jobs. We need to catch up on decades of delay and deliver the critical housing supply that our rapidly growing population needs, and I know this is a huge priority for the mayor. It's happening, and that's the good news. The bad news is there's been a seismic economic shift over the past decades that definitely is not working in our favor. In 1980, Canada's GDP per capita was $4,000 American, ahead of the average advanced economy. 20 years later, at the start of the century, our competitors had caught up. Today, we're behind, far behind. In 50 years, we moved from 6th spot in the OECD to 18th place. Just last week, an RBC report showed that our economy, adjusted for inflation and immigration, is smaller today than it was 5 years ago. I was recently struck by a speech from Maryland Governor Wes Moore. He captured his state's challenges and our parallel woes in one simple truth. Our economic engine does not support our ambition, he said. Those words struck a chord with me, and I'm sure they may do with you as well. Today, our economic engine does not support our ambition. Now, we happen to have some huge economic advantages, strengths that we must exploit. Toronto is North America's 4th largest city with a quality of life envied the world over. A close to $500 billion GDP in the GTA. One of the most multicultural cities in the world with over 140 languages and dialects, a hub of global talent with one of the most diverse economies on the continent. We boast top-tier educational institutions like U of T, one of the world's top 20 research universities. North America's 2nd largest financial services hub and in the global top 10. And North America's 3rd largest tech sector and a leader in AI. We're the only North American region that actually builds both cars and planes. And of course, we are a heavyweight in digital media, film production, music, and much more. I can proudly say that the board's advocacy is helping to chart a forward course. On housing, we're making strides in enabling more gentle density across the region. We finally realized system-wide fare integration for transit with the launch of One Fare earlier this year. We're bringing attention to our essential employment lands, which are rapidly shrinking and are under threat, but are vitally needed for new investment, innovation, jobs, and growth. We're bringing new industries into our community with events on advanced manufacturing and life sciences, high-value sectors that are core to our future prosperity. And we're focusing on accelerating the transition to net zero. Urgently and aggressively reaching these goals will be table stakes for a top-tier economy in 2030. And in the past year alone, we've helped almost 500 SMEs at the board advance growth and export opportunities through our World Trade Center Toronto programming. And there's more. Last year, the board saw the quietly growing productivity gap for the malignant threat that it was, an economic crisis. So with some urgency, we've set in motion a game-changing strategic plan. Advocating to government alone will not be enough. We needed to do something different. We needed to act. Over my first 9 months as CEO, the board has been dedicated to building a more pioneering enterprise. We've reshaped our influential policy committees. We've launched our highly publicized Toronto Business Congestion Task Force. And of course, 3 months ago, we announced the creation of the Business Council of Toronto, a new, ambitious, CEO-led coalition of business leaders from across industries committed to closing the widening chasm that is our productivity gap. Can I ask the members now of the Business Council of Toronto, our Congestion Task Force, and our Board of Trade Policy Committees to please stand? We owe them a vote of thanks. They're all working with a single purpose: to galvanize a productivity sprint in the Toronto region that can only come from a surge in innovation and investment. That's what we've done. That's what we have to engineer. Business must reclaim its voice at the table. I think if you look back to the 60s and 70s, some believed that business had too big a voice, that their influence was too strong. As a result, we've seen diverse political agendas and policies that have failed to strive for economic growth. Well-intended policy aims to enhance our standard of living, but perhaps lost the plot on building the prosperity that truly drives livability. Investment, competitiveness, infrastructure, job creation. Those are the building blocks of a thriving business environment and a high standard of living. We need to create the wealth we need to support our ambitions. That's what the Board of Trade is all about. And so I'd like to say thank you to you, our 11,500 members. Your support and voice will be critical to elevating us and our region. To the CEOs who are giving their time and energy to lean in as members of the Business Council of Toronto. To the CEOs and industry leaders who've come together as our Congestion Task Force and Governing Council. To our Board of Directors, thank you all for entrusting me and our organization with this task. And certainly not least to our sponsors, most notably our principal partners who make all events and activities at the board possible. Atkins Realis, Enbridge, the Globe and Mail, Scotiabank, and the University of Toronto. And finally, to today's event partners, our presenting partner, Music Marketing, our VIP reception partner, University of Toronto, our host partners, Alstom, Brookfield, City of Toronto Economic Development and Culture, Rogers, and Uber. So we'll continue our conversation with Mayor Chow after lunch, and for now I invite you to enjoy your meal. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everybody enjoyed your meal. I'm Young Wu. I'm the chair of the Toronto Region Board of Trade, and this is my third annual luncheon as chair. But I have been a member of the board for 5 years now, and it's a real pleasure to address all of you today. You know, as I reflect on the progress of the board and what has happened over this past year, I'm reminded, of course, of that prophetic words of the great Canadian philosopher, Wayne Gretzky. And of course, legend has it that he said you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. And in many ways, we are now at an inflection point in 2024, where we need to take the shots to capture the brilliance and prosperity that's available to this region in the next economic cycle. But we have to be intentional about this. The past 3 years have reshaped our world in unexpected ways, but past is not prologue. There is no returning to business as usual. We're actually going forward into a brave new world where the path forward is uncharted, for sure, but what's the real risk here? The real risk is not taking any risks at all. And I want to be really clear, leadership is absolutely not about playing it safe. At times of great volatility, it is about having the courage of our convictions. It's about the boldness to take the path that's sometimes less traveled. The pandemic reshaped the way things were done, but we only changed because we were all forced to adapt. We were not prepared. But we did learn. And now, what we've really learned is what we're capable of. As we look forward to the future, the changes are upon us, it's up to us to be proactive. And at the board, we are being proactive. As you heard from Giles earlier on, over this past year, we have worked hard to implement our new strategic plan, to activate coalitions of our most influential leaders that can progress critical imperatives. We won't be going back to the economy that we remember, so we need to build for the future that we aspire to. And as your chair, I'm not just asking you to join me on this journey. I'm asking you to co-create this next chapter. To be the risk takers that this region needs, because our game plan cannot be playing not to lose. We must be playing to win. And I'm always reminded of this when I think about the companies I've built or financed or backed. Inertia kills, but velocity wins. Our business community is much different from what it was before. So I'd like to take a moment just to briefly share two major themes that I reflect upon, both as a business person as well as the chair of this organization. And those two themes are inclusion and technology. I am the first chair, I'm told, in 179 years of this great institution who happens to come from a diverse background. But I know that I'm not going to be the last. And that's because our region is incredibly rich in diversity. More than 50% of Torontonians were actually born outside of Canada, myself included. We are strong because of the diversity of thought that comes from the tapestry, that comes from our lived experiences. And by embracing our differences, we actually multiply the potential of the talent that we possess. It also means we have to be intolerant to intolerance. Now, I come from a technology background, so I know that adopting technology is also fundamental to taking all of our businesses to the next level. To me, dismantling systemic bias is really about enabling systemic change. And as Giles said, productivity actually equals prosperity. That's what we're all trying to do here. So let us inspire our region to be the multi-generational destination for talent, for capital, and let's create positive change around each and every one of us to drive that sustainable prosperity that we as a city, we as a region need. We've already done so much together, but by coming together as businesses and as communities, we're going to do so much more. Now, on a personal note, I would like to also congratulate Giles on an exceptional first year as CEO. As Giles would always say, he has had some big shoes to fill, maybe not as elegant, the way he puts it on, but big shoes from our former CEO. But over these last 9.5 months, Giles has accomplished a tremendous amount. And he's actually made this next chapter for the Toronto Region Board of Trade his own. So thank you, Giles, for bringing your experience, your unwavering commitment, your absolute dedication to this role. I see it day in, day out. Sometimes I got to turn off my phone because I still get texts at 12 midnight on a Saturday. But look, earlier on today, I chaired our annual meeting of members, and as part of that, we elected 2 new people to the board of directors. To all of our directors, I'd like to thank you for your commitment and dedication. You actually make the Board of Trade stronger in the Toronto region, a much better place to live. Could I please ask you to stand and be recognized? Board of Directors. I don't just see great colleagues, I see unbelievable friends. So also, I'd like to just quickly say a warm welcome to my predecessors as chair. Joining us today, we have Chris Reidebach, we have David McFadden. And we're delighted to host several members of Toronto City Council here with us today. Deputy Mayor Ausma Melek, we have councillors Brad Bradford, Alejandro Bravo, Shelley Carroll, Mike Cole, Harty Candovo, Nick Mantas, Jennifer McKelvey, Chris Moyes, Amber Morley, and Diane Sachs. Give them a big hand, folks. And now it is an absolute pleasure to introduce Ray Williams, the President of Music Marketing, and today's presenting partner, to introduce our very, very, very special guest, Mayor Chow.
At Music Marketing, we empower music businesses through changing music retail and advocating for developers. With years of excellence, we find inspiring music tools and share it with the world. Founded by Ray Williams. Music Marketing. Get inspired.
First of all, what a great facility this is. It's magnificent, and great food, great company. And thank you so much for what you said. I think we could all agree there are no medals for coming in average. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I don't read speeches, but I'll have to read this one. Distinguished guests, fellow Torontonians, my name is Ray Williams. I'm the president of Music Marketing. It is a pleasure today to be here for the Toronto Annual Lunch to introduce our distinguished guest, Mayor Olivia Chow, seated right in front of you. Welcome, Mayor. Round of applause for the Mayor. Let me first tell you a little bit about Music Marketing, probably a little bit more than what was on that video. We are a Scarborough-based music technology company. We were founded in 1991 in my parents' basement. And today we are a multinational company with many awards, most of them, of course, outside of Canada. Canada represents about 5% of our business, most of our business in the United States, and we are the recipient of a technical Grammy and a technical Emmy. Not bad, huh? As innovators in the creative industry space, we developed and we own, which is most important, the Exchange Market Platform. This is the digital network that powers the global retail trade in our industry. All the best music technology companies in the world rely on Exchange Market, and it is built and maintained in Scarborough. And all the programmers are Canadian. From day one, we've always called Toronto home. And despite many tempting invitations to move the company to Los Angeles, We've resisted. Why? Because we could see only advantages in staying in Toronto. This region, its position in the creative economy, not only helps incubate homegrown companies like ourselves, but it also attracts critical global companies and clients, and it generates tens of thousands of jobs. It also has great food. And Scarborough is a foodie place. I don't know if you know that. Toronto is the first Canadian city to be designated UNESCO Creative City of Media Arts. It earned this designation for its leadership in film, music, digital media, and technology. And I'd like to think we're a little bit part of that. And specifically, when you look at the music production industry, and you all know Drake, a recent Toronto Global report cited over 75 recording studios, 18 registered musicians, music creators, composers, beat makers, and lyricists, all who reside in this city. This gives Ontario a 60% market share of the total Canadian GDP generated by this sector. Give a round of applause for Ontario. Toronto's creative industry are critical in both shaping the city's culture and driving economic growth. And music marketing is a testament to this, as our business has flourished into a global leader. Right here at home, we did not have to move. In fact, Scarborough is now the hub for our industry's global retail sale. It could have been Los Angeles, but it's not. But this is not news to our mayor. She understands the importance of cultivating the creative economy in Toronto. Just the other month, Mayor Chow made news when she embarked on a mission, a trade mission to Los Angeles, to attract companies to this thriving region. It's ironic, if we had moved, maybe she'd be there to invite us back. But the mayor and my dedication to this important sector is not the only thing we seem to have in common. We have a lot of things. I feel a lot of kinship with the mayor. We both immigrated to Canada with our parents. We both used to work as artists. I was a cartoonist. And 1991 is a milestone year for both of us. For you, it was the year you were first elected to Toronto City Council. And for music marketing, it was the year of our founding. We both worked very hard, moved a lot of barriers to get where we are. And I want to say directly to you, Mayor Chow, your incredible success and your leadership is a testament to what a great, open, and progressive city Toronto has become. Big round of applause. We thank you very much, and we're very proud of you. Toronto has been very good for music marketing. We are the world leader, and our exchange market platform is almost at a monopoly position in our industry. Nobody knows about that, and that's fine with us. But as a long-standing member of the Toronto Region Board of Trade, we knew we have to start giving back to Toronto. We have to kind of get out of our shell and pick our heads up from our computer screens. This is one of the reasons we are here tonight, or today, as the presenting partner for this great event in this great facility with this great mayor. And now it's time for me to leave, and it's time to hear from the mayor. Please let us get a big Toronto-sized welcome for Her Worship, Olivia Chow, Mayor of Toronto.
not that. Okay, I don't need this. Oh, I can see you better. Right, thank you for that warm reception, but that incredible introduction. Thank you for making us proud. Thank you for having faith in Scarborough, in Toronto, and in Canada. Yes. It's a pleasure to be here. My first Board of Trade Mayor's Lunch. And joining all of you. Thank you, Giles, for bringing all of us together today. When we are connected to each other by a shared love of our city, by a common resolve to fix the challenges we face, anything is possible. Anything. And this is the moment where solutions and action can take place. And that's the power of the connection that we have together that I want to talk about today. We do face a crisis of connection right now, a crisis of belonging. The Toronto Vital Signs Report outlines troubling patterns of social isolation, economic stress from an escalating housing crisis, and the need to get transit moving. You know what? I'm feeling too tall. I'm so not used to feeling too tall. Now I can't see the tall that I am. You know, us Canadians need to feel taller, don't we? Yeah, we're too shy, too humble, right? Talking about challenges. These challenges has a big human cost if we let them break the ties that bound us. Consider the story of Shazeb. His frustration highlighted in the Toronto Star story recently. Most nights, this young man pays his floor in his living room with his newborn daughter in his arms, and he looks down and looks into his eyes and her eyes. He feels something more than the joy of a new dad. He's worried. He's worried about what kind of future he can give to his daughter. Because when she cries, and you and I know that baby cries, it wakes up her entire family, the uncle, the grandparents, of course, the mom and dad. 6 people squeezed into a small apartment in Regent Park. It's not enough space for his daughter to grow. It's just too small. But he can't see his way out. His parents secure a rent geared to income apartment, which was affordable when he was just 8 years old, offering the family stability. But now at 28, with a little daughter, this young parent wants to start a new life and have enough space for his growing family. Even with a job, with a degree, there's a huge gap between his paycheck and the skyrocketing rents. It makes it so hard, close to impossible for him to find a new home. We're just stuck, he told the Toronto Star. And this young man looks around to see his brother's commute. It takes 2 hours on a good day, leaving very little room for the brother to connect with anybody. He doesn't see much hope among the tenants and all the neighbors in his building either. And when people like Shazeb and his little girl feel stuck, the potential is held back. They cannot grow. They hurt our productivity. The time spent worrying about how to find an affordable place to live, rather than have him looking for a job, a better job, having more job skills. They spend time in traffic rather than connecting with friends. They have less disposable income to spend in local shops. And people are not only less involved in their communities, they have fewer social ties. The Vital Signs Report hammer home this harmful trend. They're less hopeful about the future in previous years. They are more likely to feel lonely isolated with little sense of belonging and less connection to their communities. Now you ask me, why should the Board of Trade, the Toronto's business community, the CEOs, worried about connection and belonging? Friends, you and I know that people who feel they belong have more social capital. They're more likely to volunteer. They are helping to build a stronger, safer, and healthier neighborhoods. They are more productive. They innovate. And a city with a deeper sense of belonging attracts top, diverse, and creative talents. And I am sure when you and I were growing up, Jay, we felt sort of belong. I belonged in St. Jamestown. You in Scarborough, it's okay, right? We didn't. Our parents did not have the challenges that our younger generations now feel. They are feeling it. They need it. They need that sense of security. So to build such a city, a connected city, we need 3 ingredients: affordable housing, complete neighborhoods where people can connect with each other, and good transit. Because if we have congestion, productivity, what costing us $11 billion, according to the Toronto Board of Trade. Am I right in that number? Yes, the $11 billion, that's huge. So first and foremost, we need to build more housing now, okay? Both the private and the public sector together. For private builders, the city has enabled multiplex and laneway suites. We're giving people the freedom to build 6-story, 60 units on Major Street. As of right, no need to apply for approval. Just go and build, with building permits, of course. Go without saying. Maybe a bit of site plan. But we're looking at the same for 11 stories on Avenue. I represented downtown for a long time, know the development industry well. We have removed up to 200 days for zoning approvals. Committed adjustment approvals are down to under 60 days. Maybe still too long, but you know, we're working on it. We're helping developers and homeowners build more housing faster. Yeah, it's about time, isn't it? We are also unlocking huge pieces of vacant land for housing. Over 100 years ago, East Harbor was home to the Levy brothers. I still call them Unilever, okay? It's called the Levy Brothers Sunlight Soap Company Factory. They make everything from soap to margarine. They employ the waves of new immigrants landing on our shores in search of a new life, like our mom and dad. And they found it in East Harbor, a good-paying job, allowing them to find an affordable place to live near the other working-class homes and factories south of Queen. It was a place of transformation, the launch pad for future generations. It held the same kind of promise Shaseb's parents saw in their affordable Regent Park apartment decades ago. A promise their son and granddaughter now see fading away. Friends, we do have a tremendous opportunity before us. And yes, we need to be determined. We need to take bold action. We need to connect the promise of the East Waterfront held 100 years ago to our city's future prosperity, to help families like Shaseb chart a new course. The plans for Toronto Eastern Waterfront from East Harbor to Villiers Islands will build homes for, wait for it, 130,000 residents. 130,000 residents. That's 2 neighborhoods. It will also create 50,000 jobs by 2040, just 16 years away, not that far, okay? It has the potential to be transformative. But we need to make sure that some of these homes are affordable. Think of Shaseb. with his income, they will continue to feel that they are stuck, and they will be still stuck. We just simply have to increase the number of affordable housing on site across the city. So I need you to help me persuade the province to be more flexible and allow the city to negotiate a higher percentage of affordable homes at East Harbor and other transit priority hubs. We will build, but we need some of it to be, those homes to be affordable. A recent report penned by the former Conservative Cabinet Minister Lisa Raitt and Mark Carney, former Bank of Canada governor, said that 40%, that's 4 out of 10 buildings that we do, it has to be non-market so they can be affordable to ordinary residents. So it's high time the public sector gets back to building housing, just as we did in Toronto. Some of you may remember, in the 70s and the 80s. Affordable housing became a crisis, and homelessness was declared a national disaster when we stopped building in the late 90s. Your city government, though, is now back in the business of building housing. At the start of 2024, there are approximately 17 affordable rental housing projects under construction, actually being built. By May, this number has increased to 30. So by the end of this year, we expect to have 4,600 rent-control homes under construction. We are doing it. Today is also a big day. The Planning and the Housing Committee is set to pass the new transformative rental housing supply program. We're taking the next big step to help community providers, nonprofits, co-ops, church groups deliver affordable and rent-controlled units. 18 affordable rental housing projects will receive a total of $351 million in capital funding, so construction can start in 2024, this year, and 2025. Yep, it's this year and next year. We're actually building it now, so not 10 years from now. This will build close to 6,000 new rent-control homes, almost half of them deeply affordable based on renters' income. And we haven't done that for a long time. And no, I'm not the builder. City is not the builder. We're just the developer, right? Using city land. Already last year, through the New Deal with the province and the federal government, we have unlocked millions for housing. This was followed by a massive housing investment in the federal budget. But with the rising cost of construction and the challenge of meeting 12-year wait lists for the 80,000 households, we're working with the federal government to float its investment faster because there's no time to waste. The second ingredient for a connected city is a complete neighborhood. Whether it's a local pool you take your kids to in the middle of the heat wave, a nice park, libraries, community centers, these are the spaces that transform people into neighbors and friends, a city into community, a neighborhood, and we need it. It is vital to how we stay connected to one another. But where do we find the funds to build these public institutions? Giles talked about our financial challenges. Yes, we had a severe one last year. We still have one not as severe, but because of the New Deal and other measures, but we still have a budget pressure of over $1 billion in operating funds and a backlog of $26 billion worth of state of good repair. What does that mean? It means 40% of cities' buildings are in poor shape. We just don't have the money to build those complete neighborhoods. Now, prior to the Provincial Bill 23, we were able to use zoning tools called Section 37. Many of you have heard of that. But that's no longer available. So what we need the province to do is to give the city the flexibility to negotiate up to 4% of community benefits instead of capping it to 4. Okay? With that flexibility, when the market can bear it, we will build complete neighborhoods. Think of Shah Sab at Regent Park, a place when he was young, there was not much for him to do. He saw all the kids around him gets into trouble. But now, with new development in Regent Park, there's a new community center with a gorgeous big pool. There are gathering places like Daniel's Spectrum and with fantastic community programs, all helping to make 2023 last year a year with 0 gun deaths in Regent Park. Okay? That's what, that's safe neighborhood. That is what a neighborhood, when people feel they get connected, they feel a sense of belonging, they contribute, they volunteer, they make the neighborhood safe and healthier. The last ingredient, public transit. With 100,000 new residents expected to move into the waterfront, we cannot lag behind in transit. We didn't do that on the west side of the waterfront. Think about the traffic jams on the Gardner. But it's not too late because we haven't built out the east waterfront now. We have to build a waterfront LRT. And up to Scarborough, the long overdue Scarborough-Eglinton East LRT, yes. Some of the Scarborough councillors said, don't forget the Scarborough East LRT. We've been talking about that for how many decades? Several decades, right? Now, the city is now designing both of them. We need other levels of government to join in also. And even more importantly, we need new subway cars on Bloor Line 2, and we needed them yesterday. I see former chair of TTC, Deputy Mayor Mike Cole. In those days, we were saying, wait, we need new subway cars on the Yonge Line. We got it. Now we need it on the Bloor Line. And remember being stuck or maybe late for work over the last few months because the shutdowns on Line 2 on the TTC, the chaos, the congestion. We are an established city, so some things are old. The line is old, and it needs an upgrade. The subway cars are old. We need an upgrade. And besides, if we order the subway cars, it could be built in Ontario and creating thousands of jobs. So already, through the New Deal with the provincial and the federal government, the New Deal was with the provincial government, we secured $758 million on top of our equal contribution, but it was conditional. Without the federal government, we cannot unlock this $1.6 billion, so we cannot get the order in, so I need your help. Help us to get the new subway cars, right? Of course, it's more than just housing, transit, and social infrastructure. What is at stake is not just the details of this policy, but who belongs in our city, who feels that they are on the outside, who feels they have been left behind. A great city is where everyone feels they belong, where they could contribute, participate, and be connected with one another. Building a connected city is above all a moral issue. There's now a generation, unless they have mom and dads that can help them out, who feels they've been left behind because of the housing insecurity. So we as leaders have a choice to make. Will we choose to build a brighter future for someone like Shazab and for his young daughter that he cradles every night? Will we choose to make our city a place where people can live, work, and play? Will we choose to find common cause to overcome our shared challenges? Because when we are connected with each other, when we unleash the collective power in this room together, I know we can build a more affordable, more caring, safer city, more productive city, a place where everyone feel they belong. Thank you so much for coming and joining me today. And let's open for some questions. Thank you.
I've got this.
Oh, you got that one.
I got it.
Okay. Oh, you want this mic or that mic?
Well, thank you, Mayor. That was a sort of sweeping tour, I think, of your top priorities. And we only have a few minutes left, but the good news is you covered almost all the ground that I was going to ask you about. And so I think people have a good sense now, I think, of where you're coming from, where your ambitious goals are, and what you want to accomplish. So we'll keep this fairly short. But I think on housing, which clearly is, you've made it very clear, it's one of your the top priority probably in affordable housing. It's a very important issue. It's important to productivity because it's important for employers, for example, that their workforce has houses and in reasonable proximity, right, not too far away. Just as you look at the amount that's happened on housing over the last 11 months, you recited some of the significant changes that have taken place, particularly with federal and provincial funding, with some of the zoning changes that have taken place. We are at the board, we're extremely concerned about the hold of exclusionary zoning, for example, which you've managed to break to some considerable degree to allow for multiplexes, as you said, and laneway homes. What do you see as the highlight of what you've been able to accomplish on housing? And where do you think you're at? If you look ahead 3 years, where you want to be, where would you say you are right now? And what would be your biggest hurdle?
What is my biggest hurdles?
Yeah.
The biggest hurdle is really people believing that the city has a role to play.
Okay.
And we no longer have the muscle memory as we did in the 70s and 80s to know how to do this. So it's a new generation of people that needs to build. And because we have different divisions, it's difficult sometimes because they haven't done it for quite a long time. And to be able to believe that they could do it and do it fast and just drive it, that's a hurdle. But part of it, though, is the stars are aligned with both the federal, provincial, and municipal government ready to do the same thing, to build. Okay, so in 3 years, the number of affordable homes, 6,000. All the developments that are ready, hopefully the interest rate would drop quite a lot more, maybe down to 2 or whatever it might be, 2.5. I don't know, I'm not the Bank of Canada. But by 2026 or thereabouts, I'm hoping that it will continue to drop. It would make the financing a lot easier, so that there will be a massive building boom, so in 3 years. What the city is already doing is we're trying to get out of the way as quickly as I can, or we can, so that people can get ready to build. The financing piece of the affordable housing, it is quite substantial because the rising cost, it is, I don't know, $300,000 or $400,000 per door, which is expensive.
Well, I think I saw that building costs have risen 80% since 2020.
Exactly.
So that's changed a lot of the dynamics of
Yeah, we also need a lot more people to help to build because we don't have the workforce per se. So a lot of training, that which is not within our control. So those are some of the barriers: the financing, the labor force, the dollar that needed for it to be affordable. All of that combined.
And you mentioned in your remarks speeding up permitting, because on our side, what we hear from the business community and particularly from builders is still a bit of frustration with the amount of time it's taking to get approvals, and that's holding up projects. And of course, with that kind of inflation rate, any day lost is another bunch of dollars added to the overall cost, right?
Yes, absolutely. We need to do a lot better on that one. Also, even just to get the condo on title. Right now, it used to be weeks and weeks and months. It's now within a day. So we are approving in some areas, but it's a work in progress.
So that's still on your list?
It is very much on my list,
great.
yes.
Congestion, you can't get away, you can't escape it. You literally can't escape it. And, I think it's true, like a number of North American cities, our recovery is lagging. You and I have talked about this, about you want to see the downtown recovery take place much more quickly. You want to see more workers, I think, working downtown. There'll always probably be hybrid work, but we could do better. The Toronto School of Cities at U of T has put us at 46 out of 64 North American cities in our downtown recovery. So we got a ways to go. The roadblock, if I can put it that way, is clearly congestion, right? It's people don't want to come downtown if it's going to take them an hour and a half. What's your sense of how we're going to proceed on this? Because as you know, we have a congestion task force. We're still some ways from pulling together the ideas that we want to present to you. But as you look at it, what do you see as some of the things you can do now to start alleviating this congestion problem?
Or what we have done.
Or what you've done.
Look at King Street. Those of you that take the King Street car, 3 times faster. 3 times faster. Why? Yeah. We have these traffic agents, right? There are 40 of them out there directing traffic, so you can no longer block the box right at the intersection. So they're doing good work, but not enough.
But you've just done something brand new, haven't you?
Pardon?
You've got a new announcement today, I think. Even.
Well, there are several more. There are, yes, there are, and we have 5 pilot projects using one of them with TELUS, Rogers, and Bell. Let them compete and and see what AI can do, right, on traffic lights.
Signal.
What kind of video cameras they could use so we can see better, right? There are many different technologies. So that pilot project is started. So technology, human beings, literally 40 of them, plus more hopefully if we need more. And also coordination. Coordinating.
That's the big one.
Yeah, because you just finished paving the road, and the TDC is going to come pull out the tracks and fix the tracks, and then the hydro is going to come in, and then the water will come, and then perhaps Rogers will come and lay down some lines, and my God, years later they're still doing the same street, right? I know a lot of you are nodding your head, and we can do better. In about a month or so, you will see a report that coordinate these
utilities or
these utilities coordinate the constructions. Okay, so that it's not all over the place. You and I spoke about some of the help that we need the Board of Trade to give us road pricing. So if you're doing if you want to close the street or one of the lane in order to build the condos, for example, we do want people to build. But it might take you 3 years. Guess what? The congestion that you're costing is huge, especially if it's downtown. So right now, the way we charge is standard rate. Whether you need it for 3 days, 6 months, 3 years, it should be escalating cost. The longer it takes you to finish it, the more you should charge. The more congestion that you create, the more you should pay. Not flat rate. So that we should do. I heard today a very bold, I think it'll be very controversial idea.
This is what we heard outside.
Yeah, outside. Yeah. It's from a developer. Don't let them close the street. If they want to build it, find another way to do it. I thought, whoa, okay.
Well, Mayor,
wow, really? Yeah. I thought the development industry will just be really mad. We'll talk about it. Okay?
Well, it's interesting there, at our congestion table, where we have a number of developers, that's come up constantly. And they'll say, in New York City, in many cities around the world, you cannot take up a lane to do construction.
Hong
And
Kong.
Toronto is a bit separate that way.
I
And
know, we're too nice, huh?
we're too nice. And
Yeah.
so...
Okay, I don't have to be nice.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
The other thing that you've done, I think, which was going to be in our report, but now we can take it out, is 24/7 construction.
Yes.
Speed it up.
Speed
You've
it
talked
up.
about that. So
yes.
what's happening there?
24/7, you know, the gardener, yes. Oh, God, yes, the gardener. Yeah, we open up the ramp, make it better, okay? But we're rebuilding the garden. We're literally demolishing one side of it, rebuilding it, but keep it open, right? So it's not that easy to show up that side so that, you know, while we took down the other side. So 24/7 construction, good. Opening the ramp, good. Better traffic signals, good, okay. But I think we can do better. There are a lot of technologies and methodologies out there. Mm-hmm. Look at Europe, look at Asia, Tokyo. You know, the speed they could do their construction. There's lots we can learn. So we're bringing an expert in with our contractors, with our transportation department. I had 3 conversations with the transportation minister, the provincial one, and he and I said, whatever it takes, we will speed it up. It will be faster than 3 years. Right now I said 3 years. My God, it's too long. Let's make it a lot faster. We should be able to come back in maybe a month or 2 months with a full slate of things that we could do.
Well, that is music to everybody's ears, I think. The faster we can speed up these projects, the less congestion we'll have. We're pretty much out of time, so I've got a bunch of questions to ask you. I think we'll stop right there because what a high note to end on. But thank you very much, Mayor, for this conversation and for your speech. I think the business community really wanted to have an opportunity to hear you know, what you're thinking about and what your priorities are. I mean, you probably have a decent sense of it before this, but you've really filled in some of the blanks, I think, and we appreciate that. Thank you.
I just want to have all the councillors that are here today, if you can stand up, because it's never my work. They're all here. I know they were introduced earlier, and our city manager, Paul Johnson, is also here, and it's a team effort. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. Well, Mayor, again, thank you very, very much for being with us today. You can see you brought a full house, and we'll look forward to a repeat performance next year. And on behalf of the business community, thank you for your ongoing engagement with us. We value that very much, and I think we're all in it together as we try to grow the prosperity of the city across the economy and across housing, transit, and these other priorities. So that's important. So with that, I want to thank you again and thank today's presenting partner, Music Marketing. Ray, that was a tremendously inspiring comment. I think we all learned something about Scarborough as the hub for the North American music industry, so that was something new. I'd like to thank our VIP reception partner, University of Toronto, our host partners, Alstom, Brookfield, City of Toronto Development and Culture, Rogers, and Uber. And thank you all for joining us today. Just 2 quick event updates to let you know about before you depart. We hope to see you next week as we welcome Via Rail's President and CEO, Martin Paloquin. He will be, this is his first Toronto Podium event, and he'll be giving us the inside track, if I can say that, on Via Rail's 2030 plan. And in 2 weeks, we're delighted to partner with the Council of Great Lakes Region to host the Great Lakes Sustainable Forum. Toronto last hosted the forum in 2016. Since then, not least of which has been the turnaround in manufacturing in the region, but it's against this backdrop that we will explore a whole array of topics, including the impact of the 2026 CUSMA trade agreement review and potential reopening, which should be on all of our minds. The challenges facing marine transportation, the importance of efficient supply chains, and the regenerative agriculture revolution. Visit bot.com events for more details. We look forward to you joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you very much.